Okay, we will be recording this video. Remember, this is not my property. This video, I don't have the copyright to use this video. I took it from the internet, from YouTube. So let's
You hear the question. You will have 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak. What do you miss most about your home when you are away? Use specific details in your explanation.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
The point I when out away from home, the things I really missed home is my family, because sometimes I really feel frustrated and I just miss my home and just miss my bed. Sometimes I just want to take a little nap on my bed, and just makes me feel refreshed and energetic, and I can go back to work again. And and sometimes I just sometimes I want to maybe call make a call to my parents, and that will make me feel better, and that's the point where I'm away from home.
Number 2. In this question, you will be asked to give your opinion about a familiar topic. After you hear the question, you will have 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak. Many universities now offer academic courses over the internet. However, some people still prefer learning in traditional classrooms. Which do you think is better? Explain why.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
I do think that this university has done a great job, because, well, the first thing I want to talk about is it will be more efficient, because if I take the online course, it just takes me several seconds to sit before the computer and I can watch the video. But if I take the traditional class, it will take me half an hour to go to school, and spending time saving on to reading some books or biology or economy will consider to be the better way for me to.
Number 3. In this question, you will read a short passage about a campus situation and then listen to a talk on the same topic. You will then answer a question using information from both the reading passage and the talk. After the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. The computer department is considering making a scheduling change. You will have 45 seconds to read an article in the campus newspaper about the change. Begin reading now. Now listen to two students discussing the article.
just don't think this will work.
Why not?
Because it's not going to solve the problem. Students are busy at night. I mean, we have jobs, families, clubs, social events. Most of us already have something to do every single night of the week.
I see your point. I sure couldn't fit anything into my schedule during the week. I've got swimming practice most nights.
Right. And as far as expense goes, I think they're going about it the wrong way. I mean, it costs money to hire more teachers and keep the academic building open later, which is a lot more expensive than just simply buying more computers.
More computers?
That's right. Computer prices have come way down the past few years, so the department won't have to spend as much now as they did in the past. Besides, the computer department classrooms, the rooms themselves, they're actually very big. There's plenty of space to add more computers.
The computer department is considering a scheduling change. Explain the man's opinion of the change and the reasons he gives for...
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
The computer department want to add some evening computer classes because of two reasons. The first is it will be more efficient, and the second reason is the computer department wants more students to involve in the classroom. And the man in the conversation wholeheartedly disagrees with such statement because of following reasons. But by and large, students in the evening is really busy. They have something to do, and they all the time and the things has been arranged before. And the second reason is it will cost more to hire more teachers. But if they buy the computer, it will save some money because because the computer is cheaper now, and besides the room is really big and it has enough space
Number 4. In this question, you will read a short passage on an academic subject and then listen to a talk on the same topic. You will then answer a question using information from both the reading passage and the talk. After the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Now read a passage from a psychology textbook. You have 45 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now. Now listen to part of a lecture on this topic in a psychology course.
Last month, my favorite uncle paid me a surprise visit. I hadn't seen him in many years. The doorbell rang, I opened the door, and there was Uncle Pete. Now, I'm sure when I saw him, I said something like, "Uncle Pete, what a surprise! How nice to see you!" Anyway, my wife was standing next to me, and according to her, I wasn't really aware of this, my eyes got really wide, and I broke into a huge big smile. She said I was actually jumping up and down like a little boy. Well, anyway, later that evening, Uncle Pete told me how very, very good he felt when he saw how happy I was to see him. But compare that with this. My daughter, she's 6. We were building a birdhouse together last week. and I was showing her how to use a hammer and nail. And of course, stupid me, I wasn't being very careful, and I smashed my thumb with the hammer. Boy, did it hurt. I almost felt like screaming, but I didn't want to upset my daughter, so I said, "Don't worry, honey, it's nothing." Meanwhile, I was shaking my hand as if that would stop my thumb from hurting, and my face was contorted in pain. My voice was trembling, too. So even though I told my daughter I was okay, I'm sure she didn't believe me, because she kept asking me if I was okay.
Explain how the examples from the professor's lecture illustrate the relationship between verbal and nonverbal communication.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
The reading passage is talking about verbal and nonverbal communication, and if the nonverbal action agree with the verbal one, the meaning will be enhanced, and if it conflict, the nonverbal one will be more persuasive. And the professor says two examples about it. The first is his uncle visit him surprisingly, and the professor say, "What a surprise to visit! Nice to meet you!" and with a huge big smile. And this time, the verbal meaning will be enhanced. And the next time, he is talking. He is teach her daughter how to use hammer here, and he hurt himself accidentally, and he feel really.
Number 5. In this question, you will listen to a conversation. You will then be asked to talk about the information in the conversation and to give your opinion about the ideas presented. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Now listen to a conversation between two students on campus.
Hi, good morning. Could you help me with something?
Maybe. What's up?
Well, I'm a first-year student.
Everything going okay?
Actually, no. This is a little embarrassing. I think I left my class schedule back at my dorm.
Not a good thing to do on the first day of classes.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure where my class is. I think I remember it was supposed to be here in Smith Hall.
There's a computer for student use in the student center. You could go over there, look it up, and check the room number, but you'd have to hurry.
That's not a bad idea. I could check my schedule for the whole rest of the day at the same time. I don't know where any of my other classes are either, but I don't want to be late, make a bad impression with the professor on the first day. It's actually my very first class, Introduction to Psychology.
Psychology? Oh, okay, you're definitely in the right building. And if it's Introduction to Psychology, it's going to be a big class, in which case it probably meets in a big lecture hall. There are only 3 lecture halls in the building, one on every floor. Just check each floor till you find yours. There's an elevator, so you should be able to move fast.
Yeah, but I don't know what the professor looks like or anything. How will I know whether it's my class or not? It'd be sort of embarrassing, sticking my head into each lecture hall asking if I was in the right place.
Well, you might luck out and find it the first time.
The speakers discuss 2 possible solutions to the man's problem. Briefly summarize the problem, then state which solution you recommend and explain why.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
The man has faced a problem. The problem is he left his schedule in the dorm at the first day, and there's two possible solutions. The first solution is he can go to the student center, and the second solution is he can change each classroom until he finds it. And for me, I will highly recommend the second one because of following reasons. The first reason is if he took this advice, he will, because there's only he is taking a big class, and it will be in the big lecture hall, and there's only big lecture hall in the building, and he can find it easily. And if he take another choice, he will be late at the first day and make a bad impression to the professor, and that's it.
Good.
Number 6. In this question, you will listen to a short lecture. You will then be asked to summarize important information from the lecture. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Listen to part of a talk in an art appreciation class.
In order for art to communicate, to appeal to the emotions or the intellect, it has to combine various visual elements to express meaning or emotion. It's really the visual components of the work, things like color, texture, shape, lines, and how these elements work together that tell us something about the work. Artists combine and manipulate these visual elements to express a message or to create a mood. Think about how a painter might use color, for example. You all know from experience that different colors appeal in different ways to the senses and can convey different meanings. An artist chooses certain colors to evoke a particular mood and make powerful statements. The color red, for example, is a strong color and can conjure up strong emotions, such as extreme joy or excitement or even anger. Blue, on the other hand, is considered a cool color. Blue colors tend to have a calming effect on viewers. Another visual element important to art is texture. By texture, I mean the surface quality or feel of the work, its smoothness or roughness or softness. Now, of course, in some types of art, the texture is physical. It can actually be touched by the fingers. But in painting, for example, texture can be visual. The way an artist paints certain areas of a painting can create the illusion of texture, an object's smoothness or roughness or softness. A rough texture can evoke stronger emotions and strength, while a smooth texture is more calming and less emotional. As I said earlier, artists often combine elements to convey a message about the work. Take a painting that, say, uses a lot of strong colors like reds and oranges and uses brush strokes that are broad, wide sweeping brush strokes that suggest a rough texture. Well, these elements together can convey a wilder, more chaotic emotion in the viewer more than in, say, a painting with tiny, smooth brush strokes and soft or pale colors. Artists use these visual effects and the senses they arouse to give meaning to their work.
Using points and examples from the lecture, explain the importance of visual elements in painting.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
The professor is talking about how the artist to express their emotion, to express their meaning. the first one the professor talking about is the color. It will convey different meanings. For example, the red color will express strong emotions such as anger, excitement, and the second thing the professor talking about is the texture. It's which is talking about surface quality, and in the painting, the texture is visual, and says, for example, the smooth texture will means the common one, and the roughness texture will mean the stronger emotion. And the artist combine two elements together and to show their emotion and what they want to express.
Yes, over time.
Yeah.